Therefore come unto me speedily with a few of your men, and leave the remainder in the charge of Lehi and Teancum, and give unto them power to conduct the war in that part of the land, according to the Spirit of God, which is also the Spirit of freedom which is in them. Behold, I have sent a few provisions unto them, that they may not perish until ye can come unto me. Gather together whatsoever force ye can upon your march hither, and we will go speedily against those dissenters in the strength of our God, according to the faith which is in us. We will take possession of the city of Zarahemla, that we may obtain more food to send forth unto the Lehi and Teancum. Yea, we will go forth against them in the strength of the Lord, and we will put an end to this great iniquity. And now, Moroni, I do joy in receiving your epistle, for I was somewhat worried concerning what we should do, whether it should be just in us to go against our brethren. But ye have said, except they repent, the Lord hath commanded you that ye should go against them. See that ye strengthen Lehi and Teancum in the Lord. Tell them to fear not, for God will deliver them, yea, and also those who stand fast in that liberty wherewith God hath made them free. And now I close mine epistle to my beloved brother Moroni. Chapter 62. Moroni marches to the aid of Pahoran in the land of Gideon. The kingmen who refused to defend their country are put to death. Pahoran and Moroni retake Nephihah. Many Lamanites join the people of Ammon. Teancum slays Ammoron and is in turn slain. The Lamanites are driven from the land, and peace is established. Helaman returns to the ministry and builds up the church. About 62 to 57 BC. And now it came to pass, when Moroni had received this epistle, his heart to take courage, and was filled with exceedingly great joy because of the faithfulness of Pahoran, that he was not also a traitor to the freedom and cause of his country. But he did also mourn exceedingly because of the iniquity of those who had driven Pahoran from the judgment seat, yea, and fine because of those who had rebelled against their country and also their God. And it came to pass that Moroni took a small number of men, according to the desire of Pahoran, and gave Lehi and Teancum command over the remainder of his army, and took his march towards the land of Gideon. And he did raise the standard of liberty in whatsoever place he did enter, and gained whatsoever force he could in all his march towards the land of Gideon. And it came to pass that thousands did flock unto his standard, and did take up their swords in the defense of their freedom, that they might not come into bondage. And thus when Moroni had gathered together whatsoever men he could in all his march, he came to the land of Gideon, and uniting his forces with those of Pahoran, they became exceedingly strong, even stronger than the men of Pashus, who was the king of those dissenters who had driven the freemen out of the land of Zarahemla and had taken possession of the land. And it came to pass that Moroni and Pahoran went down with the armies into the land of Zarahemla, and went forth against the city, and did meet the men of Pachus, insomuch that they did come to battle. And behold, Pachus was slain, and his men were taken prisoners. And Pahoran was restored to his judgment seat. And the men of Pachus received their trial, according to the law, and also those kingmen who had been taken and cast into prison. They were executed according to the law, yea, those men of Pachus and those kingmen, whosoever did not take up arms in the defense of their country, but would fight against it, were put to death. Unless it became expedient that this law should be strictly observed for the safety of their country, yea, and whosoever was found denying their freedom was speedily executed according to the law. And thus ended the 30th year of the reign of the judges over the people of Nephi, Moroni and Pahoran having restored peace to their own land, to the land of Zarahemla, among their own people, having inflicted death upon all those who were not true to the cause of freedom. And it came to pass in the commencement of the 31st year of the reign of the judges over the people of Nephi, Moroni immediately caused that provisions should be sent, and also an army of 6,000 men should be sent to Helaman, to assist him in preserving that part of the land. And he also caused that an army of 6,000 men, with a sufficient quantity of food, should be sent to the armies of Lehi and Teancum. And it came to pass this was done to fortify the land against the Lamanites. And it came to pass that Moroni and Pahoran, leaving a large body of men in the land of Zarahemla, took their march with a large body of men towards the land of Nephihah, being determined to overthrow the Lamanites in that city. And it came to pass, as they were marching towards the land, they took a large body of men and of the Lamanites, and slew many of them, and took their provisions and their weapons of war. And it came to pass, after they had taken them, they caused them to enter into a covenant, that they would no more take up their weapons of war against the Nephites. And when they had entered into this covenant, they sent them to dwell with the people of Ammon. And they were in number about 4,000 who had not been slain. And it came to pass that when they had sent them away, they pursued their march towards the land of Nephihah. It came to pass that when they had come into the city of Nephihah, they had pitched their tents in the plains of which is near the city of Nephihah. Now Moroni was desirous that the Lamanites should come out to battle against them upon the plains. But the Lamanites, knowing of their exceedingly great courage, and beholding the greatness of their numbers, therefore they durst not come out against them. Therefore they did not come to battle on that day. And when the night came, Moroni went forth in the darkness of the night, and came out upon the top of the wall to spy out in what part of the city the Lamanites had camped with their army. And it came to pass that they were on the east by the entrance, and they were all asleep. And now Moroni returned to his army, and caused that they should prepare in haste strong cords and ladders, to be let down from the top of the wall into the inner part of the wall. And it came to pass that Moroni caused that his men should march forth and come upon the top of the wall, and let themselves down into that part of the city, yea, even on the west, where the Lamanites did not camp with their armies. And it came to pass that they were all let down into the city by night, by the means of their strong cords and their ladders. Thus when the morning came, they were all within the walls of the city. And now when the Lamanites awake and saw that the armies of Moroni were within the walls, they were affrighted exceedingly, insomuch that they did flee out by the pass. And now when Moroni saw that they were fleeing before him, he did cause that his men should march forth against them, and slew many, and surrounded many others, and took them prisoners. And the remainder of them fled into the land of Moroni, which was in the borders by the seashore. And thus had Moroni and Pahoran obtained possession of the city of Nephihah, without the loss of one soul, and there were many of the Lamanites who were slain. Now it came to pass that many of the Lamanites that were prisoners were desirous to join the people of Ammon and become a free people. And it came to pass that as many as were desirous unto them, it was granted according to their desires. Therefore all the prisoners of the Lamanites did join the people of Ammon, and began to labor exceedingly, tilling the ground, raising all manner of grain, and flocks, and herds of every kind. And thus were the Nephites relieved from a great burden, yea, insomuch that they were relieved from all the prisoners of the Lamanites. Now it came to pass that Moroni, after he had obtained possession of the city of Nephihah, having taken many prisoners, which did reduce the armies of the Lamanites exceedingly, and having regained many of the Nephites, which had been taken prisoners, which did strengthen the army of Moroni exceedingly. Therefore Moroni went forth from the land of Nephihah to the land of Lehi. And it came to pass that when the Lamanites saw that Moroni was coming against them, they were again frightened, and fled before the army of Moroni. And it came to pass that Moroni and his army did pursue them from city to city, until they were met by Lehi and Teancum. And the Lamanites fled from Lehi and Teancum even down upon the borders of the seashore, until they came to the land of Moroni. And the armies of the Lamanites were all gathered together, insomuch that they were all in one body in the land of Moroni. And Ammoron, the king of the Lamanites, was also with them. And it came to pass that Moroni and Lehi and Teancum did encamp with their armies round about in the borders of the land of Moroni, insomuch that the Lamanites were encircled about in the borders by the wilderness on the south, and in the borders on the wilderness on the east. And thus they did encamp for the night. For behold, the Nephites and the Lamanites also were wearied because of the greatness of their march. Therefore they did not resolve upon any stratagem in the night time, save it were Teancum, for he was exceedingly angry with Ammoron, insomuch that he considered that Ammoron and Amaleki his brother had been the cause of this great and lasting war between them and the Lamanites, which had been the cause of so much war and bloodshed, yea, and so much famine. And it came to pass that Teancum in his anger did go forth into the camp of the Lamanites, and did let himself down over the walls of the city. And he went forth with a cord from place to place, insomuch that he did find the king, and he did cast a javelin at him, which did pierce him near the heart. But behold, the king did awaken his servants before he died, insomuch that they did pursue Teancum, and slew him. Now it came to pass that when Lehi and Moroni knew that Teancum was dead, they were exceedingly sorrowful. For behold, he had been a man who had fought valiantly for his country, yea, a true friend to liberty, and he had suffered very many exceedingly sore afflictions. But behold, he was dead, and had gone the way of all the earth. And it came to pass that Moroni marched forth on the morrow, and came upon the Lamanites, insomuch that they did slay them with a great slaughter. They did drive them out of the land, and they did flee, even that they did not return at the time against the Nephites. And thus ended the 31st year of the reign of the judges over the people of Nephi, and thus they had wars, and bloodsheds, and famine, and affliction, for the space of many years. And there had been murders, and contentions, and dissensions, and all manner of iniquity among the people of Nephi. Nevertheless, for the righteous' sake, yea, because of the prayers of the righteous, they were spared. Because of the prayers of the righteous, they were spared. But behold, because of the exceedingly great length of the war between the Nephites and the Lamanites, many had become hardened because of the exceedingly great length of the war, and many were softened because of their afflictions, insomuch that they did humble themselves before God, even in the depth of their humility. And it came to pass that after Moroni had fortified those parts of the land which were most exposed to the Lamanites, until they were sufficiently strong, he returned to the city of Zarahemla, And Helaman returned to the place of his inheritance, and there was once more peace established among the people of Nephi.